Hi, everyone. My name is Omar Kashad. I'm one of the adult services librarians here at the Carroll Stream Public Library. And what we're going to be talking about today is part of the Grow with Google series, Protect Yourself from Online Scams. If you're not familiar with the Grow with Google series, Google's been generous enough to create a series of slides on a number of topics of which I presented in the past and will continue to do so in the future. But basically, today's session is on protect yourself from online scams, and basically, we're just going to go ahead and walk through what are online scams and ways to hopefully avoid them. We'll never be able to, in a sense, be able to show examples of every scam that's out there, but we can learn some general tips and tricks that'll hopefully help us recognize scams and know how to avoid them both now and in the future. But anyway, let's just go ahead and get started. What is today's agenda? Well, for starters, because this is a Google presentation, we're going to talk about how to set up a Google document, which you are under no obligation to do so, but you can if you want to learn how, or if you already have a Google account, how to do that. Then we'll talk about what online scams are and what scammers are looking for. We'll then cover the different ways you can protect your information, very important, from these scammers, and then we'll look at some common examples of scams, in which case a phishing scam, a job scam, and a romance scam. And then finally, we're also going to look at, again, just review some signs of scams so that we'll be able to hopefully recognize scams in the future and know not to respond or how to avoid them or lose our information. Of course, talking about online scams, your stories, I'm sure you probably have some, but just to share a personal story, I've been fortunate, very fortunate not to have been scammed. However, I have seen more than my fair share of examples. I think we all have. One of them that came lately to my email was saying that my Facebook account had been hacked, and I looked at it and I got a little panicked. But then I looked at the email again and I saw they called Facebook FB. There were just other things that, stood out to me. And so after I took a moment, I calmed down. I didn't click any links or anything, which is one of the major ways scammers get to you. I just ignored the email. Fortunately, it was in my junk mail folder anyway, and wasn't in my inbox, which I sometimes look in my junk mail folder for emails that shouldn't be there. But, I took a step back. I disassociated myself from the situation, and I was able to not lose my Facebook account from an online scam. Another example was way back in the far off year of 1999 when I first got my first email address. I got an email saying that my eBay account was hacked, except I didn't have an eBay account. So that was an interesting one from the scammers. It's all automated, usually, this stuff, but they automated an email to me saying my eBay account had been hacked. And because I didn't have an eBay account, I knew better than to respond to it or open it or click any links. So anyway, those are just a couple examples for me. I'm certainly by no means infallible. I hope I never fall for a scam, but I don't know that I won't fall for a scam. They're getting smarter and smarter every day. But again, we'll learn some tips and tools to hopefully avoid that in the future. So as I said, this is a Grow with Google program. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you how to sign in and create a Google document if you're interested. Google documents basically sit on the cloud, meaning they can be accessed from anywhere with an internet connection. This is helpful. That way you don't have a document saved at home that you can't access at work or things along those lines. Although on the other side of things, if you have no internet access, it's more difficult to access cloud documents, but that's true of Google and any other product as well, like Dropbox or even Microsoft Office 365. So again, you can create a free Google account by choosing the sign in option, which is up there in the top right. You can create a Google account. Again, the thing though is if you don't have a Gmail account, like let's say you have like an Outlook account or a Yahoo account or a Ymail account or even like a AT&T account or SBC Global email account, you don't need to get a new email address. What you can do is when you create an account, it's going to ask you, are you creating a personal account or in a sense a work account? If you choose the work account option, even if it's not a work email that you're going to put in, you can put in a different email and then basically have a Google account that's not associated with a Gmail email account. which I have that for my work purposes. For the sake of for the sake of even getting this presentation, I set my email or set up my Google account that way. And then you'll just create a password for it, which should not match your email password. You want to talk about scams, just be safe online by not using the same email password for your email and your Google account. It's not recommended that you do that from an internet safety point of view. So again, you'll sign in with your Google account. You'll put in your email address after you create the account. This is not a genuine email account. This was provided by Google, so I presume that this is a bogus email. You'll put in your password, whatever that may be. Again, hopefully not the same password as your actual email account. This is just a different case if you did sign up for the Gmail account. So if you don't want to use your own email and create a Gmail account, then you will put in the Gmail account and password. But if you don't want to use a Gmail account, so you decide you want to use your Hotmail account or whatever, then you'll put in your password for the Google account, which again should hopefully be separate from your email Hotmail account password. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, I apologize. Then creating a Google Doc. After you're signed in, you're going to notice that there's 3 dots in the top right-hand corner here. Or top 9 dots, sorry, in the top right-hand corner here. You'll click on those, and then you'll open the Google Apps menu, and then you'll scroll down to find Docs, and then you'll go ahead and click Docs, which is this middle option here on the screen. That will then open, which you can see circled here. And then you'll go to the Google Docs web page and then location, and then you can create a blank document if you want to. And then you can also call that untitled document. You can call it something, in which case if you're actually doing this live and following this presentation, you did open your Google Doc, you could call it like Avoid Online Scams, as we see here. Click there, click, and then put Avoid Online Scams. Again, you don't have to do this, but you can. The star next to it will just favorite that document for you to easily find later. So again, you can do that if you want to. Again, you're under no obligation to do so. And again, open the Google Apps menu, click the Google Docs icon, select a blank document, type in your new title, so on and so forth. But now we're getting to the meat of the presentation, which is what are online scams? Well, before we get started with what are online scams, let's define what's meant by the word scam. A scam is a deliberate attempt to cheat someone out of money or personal information. Scams are nothing new. People have been finding ways to take advantage of others for a long time. To give a very old historical example, there was the Trojan horse. The Trojan horse, I believe it was the Greeks, I believe, I'm totally butchering this, but anyway, the Greeks, I believe, piled into the horse. They took it to Troy. They said, "Here's a gift for you. We're leaving." So they all took off. Supposedly, the people of Troy pushed the horse into their seemingly impenetrable city. And when they all went to bed, the Trojans were actually hiding in the horse, and then they escaped and basically killed everybody. That's why a Trojan virus is called a Trojan, because of the Trojan horse. It masquerades as something innocent and not threatening. Well, it can put a virus on your computer, and that's why it's called a virus. As we see with the internet, but the rise of the internet and social media has now made it easier to encounter scams. Since you communicate with just about anyone online, people who want to commit scams, who are called scammers, can use the internet to quickly and easily find and contact anyone with an online presence. Scammers can work anonymously by building websites, email addresses, fake social media profiles, which can make it difficult or impossible to track them down. What they'll also use is something called a VPN, or virtual private network. What that means is you use your internet address. When you use the internet, you have an internet, let's call it an IP address, an internet address that's associated with your computer, or more specifically also with your internet service provider, or ISP. Well, what's possible is you can use what's called a VPN, which you can use to then mask your IP address, which is not always a bad thing to use a VPN. VPNs are good to avoid having you be tracked, but if this is a scammer who's using it, it can be very difficult sometimes to go to the VPN and say, we want to subpoena you to figure out who did this, who logged into this VPN, because these VPN people may not be in the United States. They may have no obligation to respond to you. And so that's just something to be aware of. You know, sometimes it can be very hard to track people who are engaged in these online scams. Also, because it could just be a robot. Somebody could have a robot to then create scam emails, and they send them out, and somebody bites, and then the money is theirs. But it's not like they personally emailed you. They just have a robot set up to email you personally these scams. Um, Although on top of that, though, you know, it's not all bad in terms of the internet. I'm not trying to say don't use the internet. No, 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 no. The goal of this workshop isn't to make you distrustful of people you meet online. One of the great things about the internet is that it gives us different ways to allow us to connect with other people. I do this on Facebook. I connected with a bunch of groups. I like Godzilla. I like Godzilla Facebook groups. I love Star Wars. I watch Star Wars, groups, things along those lines. It's just I'm a big fan of various things, and so it's good to connect with people for that, but also to connect with family as well, and meet with them. But still, it's important to know how to spot potential scams so you can keep your information, yourself, and your personal information safe. So, what do scammers want? Well, scammers want a couple of different things. One is they want money. They want bank payments, wire transfers, credit card, debit payments, or even gift cards. The other big thing these days is cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is I heard was supposed to not be easy to it was supposed to be easy to track because because of the tokens, but it's also harder to track. So basically, if you're not familiar with cryptocurrency is basically like an online currency you pay real money into, and then its value is determined by a whole host of factors, usually by a computer program. Again, I'm speaking very basic on cryptocurrency. You and I don't know everything about it. But then what happens is these scammers will basically use what's called ransomware, where they'll take your computer, they'll take your computer hostage because you either you clicked on a link you shouldn't have, or you downloaded a file you shouldn't have, and then their virus is, so to speak, is on your computer. Well, they'll say, we'll only release your computer and its information if you pay us like X amount of cryptocurrency, for example. This has unfortunately happened. It's happened to libraries. It's happened to what else? It's happened to government institutions. I mean, it's happened to individuals. This is just a very it's just, again, going back to the internet. It's just very easy to hack somebody's computer if you're not paying attention, and easier to request payment. That's, again, very difficult to track. But the other thing they want in addition to money from you is, they may try to get personal information that can help them access your bank accounts, your social media accounts, or other personal accounts online. This information includes, like, for example, usernames and passwords for websites and social media accounts, your social security number, bank account information, you name it. And then they can use this information to steal your identity, contact your friends and family, or gain access to your accounts and even your devices. I knew somebody, not me, but I knew somebody who had their social security number stolen, and it wasn't because they did anything wrong. It's because one of the companies who it was, I don't know, I don't think it was their bank, but some place where which was a legitimate like company or whatever. Their information was not that secure, and so this person had their social security number, I believe, stolen from that other organization, and then they had to freeze their credit. They had to do all sorts of stuff. It was just a bit of a nightmare. So, sometimes you can do nothing wrong and still lose. But just try and, again, be secure as much as you can. The other thing scammers can do, and this is what's called the dark web or the deep web. Scammers can also make can make money by selling your personal information to a third party. The third party can then use your personal information for their own purposes. That's why you'll sometimes, like, web virus, antivirus companies will say, hey, we'll figure out what is your information on the web. Sometimes Chrome could warn you and say, hey, we think this password has been hacked, or is on the dark web or the deep web. It's just, although the thing, though, is scammers sell your information online, but again, so do a bunch of legitimate companies as well, like your credit card company and others as well will sell your personal information. So that's why it's good to know, like, what information is being sold about you online. But again, just something to be aware of. Scammers want money and they want personal information. So keep your information safe. So, like, they're There are also types of personal information that may seem less confidential than passwords, but are still important to keep private for the sake of your online security. If you log into an online bank account for extra security, you might be asked questions like, what's your mother's maiden name? Or what is the name of your first pet? These security questions are designed to be easy for you to remember and hard for someone else to guess. However, you should be wary of anyone online who tries to get that type of information from you. If you use social media, you've likely come across quizzes that claim to figure out things about your personality. Or maybe you've been asked to answer questions like, what would your name be if you were a character in a popular TV show? These seemingly harmless quizzes are often scams designed to get the answers to those hard to guess security questions, protecting your online accounts. I can share a personal example, though this didn't happen to me, but it's something I heard about later was, I used to frequent message boards. Message boards were sort of the pre-social media ways of communicating with people. There'd be a message board, you post something you like, whether it's about video games or cars or whatever, and someone would also post as well. Well, what somebody had done was, they posted one of these quizzes, which had these questions like, what was your first car? What was your elementary school? Things along those lines. And what happened is that this was a scammer, because then they took those answers to these questions, and they were hacking people's emails accounts that way. This was like not even a bot. This was an actual person who did this. So, that's why every time I see those quizzes, even it's like, what's your birth month, based off of this information, I wouldn't answer it. Granted, a scammer could easily figure out what's your birth information based on information that's already out there on the internet, but still, it's better just to say nothing. It's better just to say nothing, just look at it. It's fun, but if you somehow see one of those quizzes, but don't respond to it. I'm dreading the day that somebody posts a tell your story with your social security number. I hope that never happens. And you absolutely should never respond to that sort of question. But, avoiding participating in online quizzes that encourage you to share this kind of information, is really for the best for you. Although I will say that the library does a lot of online quizzes as well, but we never ask you for your personal information or anything along those lines. Our questions are, what books have you enjoyed reading? And then we'll help connect you with a good book. We're not keeping that information. We don't have access to that information. So just know that, our online quizzes are fun, and I hope you trust us, but just know that we're not using that. We don't keep that information. We don't record that information, and it's all automated, and we don't see any of it. So just know that, yeah, you can trust the quizzes from the library, because we're not asking you these questions. We will never ask you, what's your first car? What's your elementary school card? What's your first pet's name? Or what's your mother's maiden name? Because that's simply not why we're here. Knowledge, of course, is power, though. So this goes back to my thing about how, there's like a zillion scams out there. How do you recognize them? Well, the good news is you can outsmart scammers by learning the signs of a potential scam and by always protecting your personal information online. We'll spend the rest of the workshop discussing some frequently attempted scams, so you'll know how to recognize them and protect yourself. Very important. So let's talk about some scam examples. For starters, this is a warning email scam. This is from bigcity.bank@gmail.com to joe.lewis@gmail.com. For starters, this is not a genuine example. This is something Grow with Google made a mock-up of. So don't worry about, am I exposing someone's personal information? No, I'm not. The date, of course, we see there, and then the subject, urgent, your big city bank account has been compromised. And then there's Big City Bank with what's presumably their logo, but the thing though is in a real scam, this logo may not match the actual logo of the bank. Dear Joe, your Citi bank account has been compromised. Secure your account immediately by providing us with your login ID, password, and social security number. For your convenience, click on the link below to submit your information, which is under the Secure My Account option. Thank you for your cooperation, Big City Bank. So what are some of the things we notice here? For starters, Big City Bank is probably not using a Gmail address to send their emails. It should probably be coming from a @bigcitybank.com email address, or whatever their website is. As you can see here, this is designed to provoke an emotion from you. It says urgent. You have to do it now. If you don't do it now, you're going to lose your information. Also, what are they asking you for? Well, they're asking for your login ID and your social security number. They should already have that information. They shouldn't be asking for it from you. Although I will say, if you're on a bank's website or sometimes like other websites that that you had to have an account with, sometimes they'll ask you for your social security number. Not all of them, but just know that you should never click a link and provide a social security number. You want to go directly to the bank's website and provide that information. And again, who sent this? Big City Bank. Well, okay. There's little here to go on, and this again, this just seems suspicious from beginning to end. So of course, what you notice, I said some things, you can think of some things, you can pause this video and think about some things. But basically what this type of scam is called a phishing scam. I believe phishing is probably, PH is on purpose, it's not a typo. A phishing scam, I believe, is sort of a portmanteau with the word phony and phishing, because scammers are trying to impersonate a company or a person. Phishing is basically when a scammer impersonates a company or person in order to trick someone to giving up their valuable personal information. Usually phishing takes place through emails, internet ads, or copies of websites that look similar to the ones you already use. So if you had clicked that Big City Bank website link, if you actually looked at the actual address, you would know something was amiss, because it'd have usually a bunch of gobbledygook and or garbage text, and then it'll seem like, oh, well, this actually isn't like my bank's website, whatever that bank may be. It's like, it just looks like it. And even then, the copy may also of the website may not even look all that authentic either, which is why you see me more suspicious, especially if you clicked a link. So for example, you could receive an email from your bank, a store where you shop, or an online payment processor stating that there's a problem with your account and they need your login information in order to fix it. Again, be very aware of those emails. The few times where that's legitimate could potentially be, maybe your bank will say, here's your latest statement, and that comes like once a month. But again, you don't have to click the link to access your statement. You can go to your bank's website to access that statement. The other thing you might find, which come right away, is oh no, I've forgotten my password to my bank account. Well, the thing though is you went to your bank account's website and said, I forgot my password, and then you usually get the password reset email right away. That's okay, because you asked for that information. It wasn't sent to you unsolicited like that email we just saw. Of course, one of the other warning signs, of course, when it comes to these scam emails is urgency. Urgency, since this email states that you need to act immediately, it creates a sense of urgency to get you to send your information quickly. I saw that with my spam Facebook email I got like a week or two ago. It's like, urgent, your email has been hacked, or your Facebook account has been hacked. Urgency is a tool that scammers use a lot. They want you to respond right now. Other scams may use urgency by telling you that an offer is only available for a limited time, and maybe we'll see an example of that at the end of this presentation. Or someone is in need of immediate help. They can't wait. They need help right now. Urgency can also be used to make you feel excited or concerned so that you act on emotion. The real purpose of urgency in a scam is to get you to finish a transaction or send information before you stop to think it through or talk it over with anyone. There was a musician who I read about like months ago, who it was late at night. They were tired. They got an email that said their Facebook account had been hacked, and if they'd been more awake during the day, they would have known not to click the link and try and log in with their Facebook account, because then their Facebook account got stolen from them for that reason, and they regretted it later. They're like, I never should have clicked that link, but they were having a hard time getting their Facebook account back, even though they were a celebrity and they were in the news talking about how their Facebook account had been hacked. It's urgency. You think it has to be done now. Well, it doesn't have to be done now if it's in a phishing email. Because the thing is if you think a situation is urgent, you are far more likely to send personal information or money than you would in an everyday situation. You just need to, again, take a moment, relax, take a step back, and and think things through. The other warning sign is anything with a link or an attachment. An attachment is like a PDF or document attached to an email that you can then click on to download. You never want to do that, because scams often contain links or forms to fill out. There also may be attachments to open. Links and attachments can be sent in emails, via social media messaging, or even via text. I get some text spam every now and then. Links can be used to collect information about you, upload dangerous material to your device, like the Trojan virus I mentioned earlier, or email your contacts. Likewise, scammers use forms to collect your information. That's why, especially that email from your contacts is important, because if you get an email from even from a friend and it looks kind of weird, like they're like, hey, click this link, and that's it, their email address might have been hacked, or you could get like a strange message from a friend saying, help, help, I'm in a lot of trouble. Quick, send information, send me money through this link. You really want to take a step back, again, avoid that urgency and reach out to your friend or even family member. If you got it from a family member, reach out to them through alternate means, because chances are their email address has been hacked and this is not a genuine message from them. I've heard from people I know who have been in that situation where it's like, oh, I thought this was genuine from my friend or family member, but then I reached out, I contacted them, and they said they never sent me this email. So just know, even if it's from a personal contact, just again, take that step back, think to yourself, wait a minute, why did they send me this? And then reach out to that person, especially if you're suspicious. Now, going back to what I was saying before is, some scams encourage people to open attachments which can upload a virus or other harmful programming to your computer or device. And again, going back to the email thing about even from friends or family, if you're not sure where there's something is a scam, err on the side of caution. Do not click links. Do not fill out any forms or open attachments from the questionable source. Just don't. It's always better to be cautious than to actually give away your personal information or put your device at risk. What's the saying? An ounce of preparation is worth a pound of cure, is how the saying goes. It's the same thing with your personal information. An ounce of caution is worth a pound of having to, quickly cover up and like I said, lock down your credit, lock down your social security number, all sorts of things. It's just, the less work you do now, the more work in a sense you do now, the less work you'll have to do later. Another warning sign from scammers is requests for personal information. Legitimate businesses will pretty much never ask you for your login information or other personal details through email. If a legitimate business needs you to log into your account, they should instruct you to open their website or app, sign in, and send information securely, not through a link. Again, you go to whoever your bank's website is, or maybe you have your banking app, or even with the library, it'd be like, no, just go to our website directly and log into your library account, things along those lines. If you, oops, sorry, my apologies. If you, one second here. If you receive a questionable email from a bank or other business where you have an account, you have nothing to lose by calling the business directly to ask about it. You really don't. Maybe it isn't a scam, but better to contact them to know that for sure. Don't contact them through the contact information on the email. Just look up their phone number in Google or the phone book or whatever, or maybe it's saved to your contacts. Contact them that directly, because that phone number associated with that spam email could be fake. To give another example of that is sometimes when you go like Google or Yahoo and you type in a company name, you'll notice there's a little sidebar of data, of information, a snapshot of that company. It'll say, how many people work there, what do they specialize in, and it'll give their phone number. Well, I heard an example of an airline company that that didn't realize that someone had claimed their little Google sidebar and it put in a fake phone number. So people are at the airport, they're tired of waiting in line because their flight either got canceled or delayed, and now to get a new flight, they go to Google, they put in the whatever the airline company is, they see that little number in the sidebar, and then they call that number, and that number is a scammer. So that's why you should, try and take that information, not with a grain of salt, but go to in case the airline company, go to the airline company directly. Look up their customer service number through their website, not because of that little Google snapshot. Again, just something to watch out for. If you need to visit the business's website, type their address into your browser or search for it online rather than clicking any link provided in a suspicious communication. The only 2 words of warning with that, though, is if you type in the business website, make sure you type it correctly. No typos. Amazon.com is Amazon.com. If you put Amazon.om, maybe Amazon is smart enough to claim that domain, but anything .om is by definition an Oman country website. So again, watch out for that sort of thing. Type it in directly, because one time when I was in library school, I had a student told the teacher, like, well, here's a website we can go to learn more about something we were learning in class. The student gave the correct website address. The teacher unfortunately wrote a typo into that, put a typo into that email address, or mistyped one of the words, and we saw some stuff we probably shouldn't have. So, just again, be cautious. Also, if you're using a search engine like Google or Yahoo to search up a company, you really want to avoid the first few links, because those first few links, you may see something that says advertisement. Advertisements are basically companies that pay to have their results listed first, rather than be the website where most people genuinely are clicking, because usually search results are by who's clicking these links the most, which the more people click a link, the more that, is probably a sign of legitimacy. That's not always the case, but usually. But the advertisements can be totally bogus. I see an example of this during tax season. If you type in like IRS tax forms, you're supposed to go to the irs.gov or .gov website. Well, what happens is these companies will put in advertisements and say, no, 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 no. Don't go to the IRS website, go to my website. I have the IRS forms that you need. Fill them out through me. Mind you, the IRS forms ask for your name, your address, your social security number, your bank account, if you're getting a refund, and all sorts of things. So don't click any ads, is my advice. Again, you can if you want, but I don't recommend it. Just find the first link that doesn't say ad or advertisement and choose that link if it's to the place you're trying to go to. Otherwise, as I said, memorize your company's or your bank's or your whoever's website address and put it into your browser directly and press enter. So again, if you need to visit the business's website, type your web address into your browser or search for it online, as I said, rather than clicking any link provided in a suspicious communication. Again, just be smart, be victorious. Another warning sign is the threatening tone. We see this particularly with blackmail scams. Scammers may use threats or a threatening tone to get money or information. Threats can scare people into giving their personal information or a payment before they realize that they've been scammed. Threats can make people think they will lose something important like housing or access to their computer. I got one of those too. It was, hey, just so you know, we have photos of you doing something. And I'm like, no, you don't. I didn't reply, but in my mind, I'm like, no, you don't. So I didn't reply to that email, and I just ignored it, and nothing ever came of it. What happened was, I think they had somehow gotten a hold of one of my old email addresses, which I no longer used. So their little bot said, well, here's your email address, here's your name, because that was the name I had associated with the email address. And it said, we're going to do this, that, or who knows what else. And I'm like, well, I should have closed that email address, but I don't use it anymore. And there's nothing personal about me on there, which they didn't hack it because of anything I did. It's just, information gets out on the internet. But anyway, I just ignored it, and nothing ever came of it. So people can be threatened, also be threatened with humiliation. Certainly we've seen plenty of examples of that in the news, celebrities who have compromising photos that get hacked, and scammers will come to them, or blackmailers will come to them and say, pay us money or we won't put it out on the internet. One celebrity said, you know what, as embarrassing as this is, I'm not paying you anything, so I'm just going to put it out on the internet. Which, kudos to them. But a lot of people, understandably, they get scared and they feel like they're in a corner. So, scammers might send an email claiming they've hacked your device and have embarrassing footage of you. Sometimes they will include an old password in the email. That's what I saw, to prove they are serious. Then they will demand that you send them money in order to stop them from distributing the footage. Again, they had no footage of me, but I think they're asking for crypto, I think, in the email that I read. I never should have opened the email, but I figured, why not? I just wanted to read it. Which again, I don't recommend opening those emails, just ignore them entirely. But anyway, if you receive a communication like this, it's best not to reply to the email or respond in any way. Speaking of not responding in any way, this is more for like spam emails rather than scams. But if you ever see like a spam email where you're getting a bunch of emails from company XYZ, what you shouldn't do is never click the unsubscribe link. There's usually an email at the bottom that says unsubscribe, because if you click that, the website takes you to might put a virus on your computer, or B, because you clicked it, they now know that you're actually there, and then you'll get even more scam emails. and you'll never be unsubscribed. Now you can unsubscribe from legitimate companies' websites like Best Buy or I don't know, like New York Times or CNN or whatever. You can stop those. Those are legitimate companies, but I'm talking about these random spam emails you get. Don't never click the unsubscribe link. Just mark it as junk or whatever, which we'll see a little bit later in this presentation, and ignore it. So what would you do if you received an email, that was a scamming email? Well, the best way to respond to phishing is, for starters, as I said multiple times, ignore it. If you know it's a fake email, you can just ignore it. If the email claims to be from an organization you are involved with or someone you know, again, reach out to that company directly. Do not respond to them via the email you just got, but contact them using a known email address, maybe a totally different email address. Or as I said, another good option is simply to call and speak to someone over the phone. Especially important, do not click any links or open any attachments. And then finally, if you know an email is phishing, you have the option of reporting it, and then we'll see how to do that. The other thing you can do is, and I did this once, although it was a lot of work. I think it was because it was from a university, I think, or it might have been from a company. I don't recall, but basically, I found out who was their cyber crimes division at this company, and I said, hey, just so you know, I got an email from one of your employees who I think their email has been hacked. This isn't a legitimate email. And they said, great, can you please send us the email? So I sent them the email, and presumably the company was able to change the password on the email address that had been hacked in order to stop all this spam from going out that could have put viruses on people's computers or stolen their information. So again, you could do that too, but that's a lot of work. So to report an email as phishing, first starters, you want to open the email and you want to click more, wherever that more may be. In this case, in Gmail, but again, it's different based on your email provider. It's those three dots. You click that and you get a little menu to appear. Again, never reply to these emails, and especially don't on the state housing board form. As we can see there, we haven't received information from you. You got to send us this information or else we're going to evict you. You can see what they're asking for, and don't click this link to send us the missing form. No, 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 no. Especially considering this comes from an email address called state housing, HOUZING at gmail.com. That's, again, a big no. That's a big indicator that this email is not legitimate. But anyway, so yeah, click this link to send us the missing form. So then you're going to go to go down to the option that says report phishing, and then it'll say, okay, thank you for reporting this. These future emails will now go to your junk mail folder, and then hopefully, Gmail, since this is the Gmail account responding to another Gmail account, maybe Google might be able to shut down this email address from sending out phishing emails. I know they're trying to crack down in the near future on the amount of emails that a spam provider like this, that like the state housing example, can send out. But just know that, now it'll go to your junk email and you can just ignore it. Now, if you are having problems with your state housing, though, again, contact the state housing board through some other means. Presumably you have a different way to contact them, and especially not using that email address. But yeah, you can respond. But again, with an email like this, I mean, this isn't genuine at all. So, I say ignore it, and you may not even need to call the state housing board. So anyway, every situation is different, and I'm not going to claim otherwise. But anyway, moving on from that sort of scam to an employment scam, here we see an email with a very nice piece of clip art. So basically, here's what it says. This is a dream job. So you could get paid $5,000 to $10,000 per day, and you could work from home. Choose your own schedule with 3 exclamation marks. Make money as an undercover shopper. Shopper has 3 Ps. It's supposed to only have 2. 15 hours a week, 80,000 K plus bonuses. No interview necessary. Necessary is misspelled with an I after the N. Gee, wow, this is great. What's the email? Ooh, awesome security job at gmail.com. Ooh, boy, think about this. Wonderful. Look at all this money I can make. I didn't even ask for this job. Sure, this looks poorly written, has multiple typos, and has a random Gmail address, but it must be legitimate, except it's not. And then after you read the posting, you do something you shouldn't, which you respond anyway and say, I'd be interested to know more. You hear back right away. In this case, Susan, the recruiter, again, that's Google who said Susan, not me, says you'll be able to start right away. after you pay for a training session. Oh, after. Oh, so I have to pay them money in order to get this job. That doesn't seem right. So what did you notice? Well, again, the typos are usually a big indicator to me if something is spam or scams. No, scam and slash scam emails don't always have typos, but a lot of them do. It's also like, they're going to pay me a lot of money to do nothing. They didn't interview me. They're just offering me the job out of the blue. They want me to email to a random website in order to get it. And now I've been told that in order to get the job, I have to pay to have the job training. Employment scams can often seem or can often claim to offer jobs that seem too good to be true. They may state that they require a few hours and pay very well. Often scammers will claim you'll be able to learn lots of money by doing something easy from home, like online shopping or playing video games, or I don't know that this is a scam, but I'll see like, hey, go to this website to earn free coupons. All we have to do is track your shopping behavior. I don't recommend those either. I'm not going to say those are scams or not because I honestly don't know, but I'd still say stay away from them. Or you may respond to a job posting you found on a website and found that your employer wants to hire you without an interview or even a background check. Wow, they must really know you better than you know yourself. I wonder, A, how, or B, maybe they're not telling the truth. Maybe they don't want you at all. They just want your information. The scam may start as soon as you apply for the job, when scammers ask for your personal information to process the application. Or it might start after they claim to have hired you, when they ask for your bank information to process your payment. Going back to scams, this is not so much a scam, but it's generally recommended that like you can use like webs like job aggregators out there, like job listings like monster.com or indeed.com or whomever.com. Not that whomever.com is a real website, but just different job aggregators, and you can then you can apply, you can post your resume and apply for jobs straight through monster.com or straight through indeed.com. I don't recommend doing that. There's been examples of this online, but I never would do this anyway. Basically what happened is just because you apply through these aggregators, doesn't mean that, they're actually monster.com is even like your resume is even going to get in front of the recruiter. The recruiter listed the position or Monster else found this position, but there may be no connect between Monster and the actual company that wants to hire you. So what that means is two things. One, your resume and cover letter should always be tailored to the position you're applying for. Don't have one resume and send it out to a billion places. You're probably never going to hear back from barely any of them, and it's a lot of work, and you're not ultimately, you're not even, if you're not taking it seriously in a sense, why would they? I know it's hard work to customize your resume, but you really need to do it in order to hopefully find more, get more hooks, get more hits or hooks from your job application process, especially true for your resume. Doesn't mean you completely alter your resume with each application, but you really want to tailor it to the position using keywords that you find in the job application. But anyway, the point is, go to the company's website directly to apply for this position, whether it's McDonald's or whomever, even with the library. If you want to apply to a library job here, go to our library's website, find the employment portal, which I believe is under About, and then Employment, and then find out what positions we have, and then click the link that says, here's how to apply. Because if you found this position on Indeed or Monster, I would not expect that if you applied through Monster or Indeed or one of those other websites that we're going to get like your application. That doesn't mean Monster is a scam. I'm not saying Indeed.com is a scam either. They're not. In fact, I found my job here at the library through Indeed, but I didn't apply through Indeed. I went to the Carroll Stream Library website directly and found out how to apply. So again, just something to be aware of, and especially one side of an employment scam is if you're asked to pay for anything up front. You may be told that in order to start the job, you have to pay for training or pay fees for software or credit report or to have your resume reviewed, maybe even pay to have a drug test done or a credit check or who knows what, as I just said, an honest employer will never ask you to pay money or to provide your credit card information in order to give you a job. There was a scam I saw one time when I was watching Teen Mom with a family member. I was not watching it just because I wanted to, where one of the teen moms, she was strapped for cash and she was going to sell her car. And the people that she was going to sell her car to who reached out to her said, great, we want to buy your car, but first you need to pay us money in order for us to be able to ship it, in order for us to then be able to ship the car from you to us. So she was paying these people to pay to have her car shipped to them. My family member and I, who I was watching this with, knew it was a scam, and we felt like horrible for this person. We also wondered, why aren't the camera crews saying anything? To give a more positive example, though, of like human to human interaction, I read an article in the news maybe about I don't know, maybe about a year ago, about a cab driver who's taking an elderly woman to the bank. And he was being friendly. He was chatting with her, and he said, why are we going to, you're going to the bank? Because the woman was in a rush. She was upfront with him, told she needed to withdraw a bunch of money. Well, the cab driver said, well, what you're telling me sounds suspicious. I don't know who's telling you these things, but this doesn't seem right. So when they got to the bank, the cab driver, rather than just letting her go, went in and spoke to the bank, and the bank got a police officer who's in their scams division to talk to this woman, and ultimately they realized that she was actually the victim of a scam. It wasn't, and it was because the cab driver showed interest in her story and said to herself, "This isn't right," that they were able to stop her from losing a lot of money. It was called an elder scam. So there are positives out there when it comes to scams. That's why, again, you should listen to other people, in which cases one was willing to listen to the cab driver and the bank and the police and say, this person who's asking for their money, they're not real. They don't have your best interest at heart, so don't send them anything. Now, I will say, though, that spotting employment scams can be difficult because legitimate employers may also ask for your personal information. That's very true. But that's usually after you've been hired, usually. They usually will ask for your social security number and may also ask for your bank information if you decide to set up direct deposit. However, do not provide that information unless you are certain that the job is legitimate and not a scam. Likely because you've interviewed at this place, they seem reputable, you've done your due diligence, you've looked up that company online, learned all that you can. You could also maybe go to company review websites from employees like Glassdoor or things like that, where you can just learn more about that company. And if they seem legitimate, then you can provide that information because they're going to need it for perfectly legitimate reasons, like your bank account, your bank will ask you for that information, but there's a difference between a bank that looks reputable, or even like a credit union, versus somebody who's your banker who operates out the back of their car. But again, don't tell them that information unless you're certain that everything is legitimate. Another warning sign, especially associated with scams, especially like employment scams, is, it's too good to be true. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is, and it certainly applies here with that incredible 80,000 a year for doing 15 hours of work. Again, for something that you are not personally doing yourself. You're not an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs can make that kind of money, but you're not an entrepreneur. You're trying to apply for a job, or in this case, you didn't even apply. They just told you that it was yours. Scammers often make offers that are too good to be true. This tactic works in the same way as creating a sense of urgency. You get excited, so you don't stop to think before you act by providing personal information like the social security number or the address or what have you. The ad we're looking at is offering a job with high pay that only requires 15 hours a week, and again, no interview is required. That's a lot of money to give somebody sight unseen. That's like saying, "Oh, I buy this bridge." Oh no, you don't need to see it. It's there, I promise. And you buy it sight unseen. Although currently in the housing market, I hear some people are buying houses unseen, but they're taking a risk. But that is the case of the housing market just being so hot right now. But anyway, scammers may offer you an opportunity to make a lot of money with almost no effort. They may pose as an enthusiastic recruiter, offering you an amazing, easy, and profitable job. I know. Again, it's too good to be true. You may need the money desperately, but if you go in for this, you're going to lose a lot in the process, and you're going to make no money. The request for payment is really a big red flag as well, especially considering that wasn't in the email, but that was just part of the background description. They wanted money in order to have you be trained to do something. This is a little bit different from going to school or trade school or vocational school or like a university to get your credentials ahead of time. That's totally different. If you go to say a local college, like College of DuPage, yes, you'll have to pay in order to take their classes. However, you're doing that of your own volition. You're not paying the company, you're paying the college. For example, like you can learn how to be like a forklift operator or like welding, and things along those lines, or even just like getting your for libraries, getting your LTA, which is your library certificate that you've been trained, or even if you go to like a university and get like your your like LIS degree, your graduate degree, that those are important degrees to have. Um, but again, that's got nothing to do with the company. You're doing that in your own time because you're getting these credentials to then hopefully be qualified for for positions at companies, not because this company is saying pay us to then train you. Like I said, no legitimate job should require you to pay for training or to complete a credit check in order to begin. You should also not be required to provide personal information like your address, your social security number, bank account information until you've been offered the job and can verify that the company and the role are both legitimate and trustworthy. Again, if it seems suspicious, it may very well be. Another big warning sign, which I talked about earlier, is typos. You're going to see a lot of words misspelled, also known as typos in a job listing, email, or ad. If you notice a lot of grammar or spelling mistakes, a scammer may have created the content that you're viewing. Now, it is possible for legitimate communications from companies to contain mistakes or errors. If you get an email personally from me, I'm not the hiring person here, but if you get an email from me that's got typos on it, it's because I wasn't paying attention. But those are usually from personal people at the company. They're not usually from the main email address or the recruiter. But so most people or companies, like I said, it's possible for communications to have typos, but most will have someone proofread their work carefully, so it's not common. Usually, because a lot of communication from companies are just automated anyway. In which case they've been proofread to the extreme. There shouldn't be any typos. But again, typos are one of my big tells. But obviously, a lot of scams may have no typos. The email that I saw, which tried to the scam email that I saw didn't have any typos on it. It was just formatted oddly. It was, but anyway. So again, what would you do if you'd seen this kind of ad from this employer, asking you to pay for training for a job that you didn't even apply for? This got incredible benefit, incredible, pay and few hours. The way to avoid employment scams is sort of similar to the spam email we saw earlier, the phishing email. If you see a job advertised online that appears to be too good to be true, do your due diligence. Don't go verify that with an internet search. Search for the name of the company, the job title, even the name of the contact you've been in communication with. If it's a company you've never heard of, I'd really be careful with searching online on your computer at home, because one time I was applying for jobs in my pre-library days, and this company who I thought was legitimate through a Google account, I don't know what the deal is with their website. I don't know if it's been hacked or who knows what, but basically they put a virus on my computer. And boy, was that one of the worst days of my life. I didn't get anything scammed, but the computer had to be, cleaned for viruses and stuff. But basically, so my word of warning to that is, if it's saying this, come to the library to search this stuff. Our computers are designed to reset after every appearance, after every use. So it may be safer just to come here to look up this company if you've never heard of them. Or else use a tablet PC like an iPad or something. Those are usually so locked down that it's next to it. That's really difficult to put a virus on them. Not impossible, but usually pretty difficult. You can also type in the company name and the word scam into an internet search to see if others have experienced similar scams. I'll sometimes do that with phone numbers I don't recognize. Again, I don't pick those numbers up, but I'll put the number into like Google or something. You'll see people saying, "Oh, this is a scam email. It came from this company. Just ignore it." Don't pay for any training or other costs, job associated costs ahead of time. You shouldn't even have to pay when you're actually on the job, usually. There are always exceptions though, like maybe you want to go to like a conference or something and your company doesn't provide like continuing education, money. It'd be nice if they did, but maybe they don't, in which case you may have to pay yourself to attend this conference or pay to attend like what's called a webinar. But that's not paying it again to the company that you're working for. You're paying somebody else for that information or conference. And again, don't give away your personal information again until you manage to verify that the job is legitimate. Again, just do everything you can, make sure this is all on the level. You can, as I said, you can use Google search to verify a job offer. Again, you can go to google.com, press enter on the keyboard. Here we go, google.com. That's the search field. Although sometimes you can also just search in the actual address bar itself. Most browsers are able to do that these days. But anyway, whatever you're searching for, you then press enter, and then you'll find your results, and whether they're legitimate or not. And hopefully they're legitimate. Believe me, I want it to be legitimate. I don't want you to be applying for non-legitimate jobs, myself included, if I ever got back into the job market. Now, of course, here we come to the final of the three scam types that we're going to learn about today, and that is a perfect connection, or the romance scheme, sometimes called a catfishing scheme. So what happens is you're online and you make a great match with someone. You connect with them through social media, who seems like a great match. Let's say not through like other sites like, I don't know, like Cupid.com or OkCupid or whatever the various, or Match.com or whatever. So anyway, so you connect with the person on social media who seems like a great match. The relationship progresses quickly as you have many common interests and experiences, which is not always a scam. No, 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 no. I'm not implying that. It's not what's happening now. It's what's about to happen that leads into the scam part of it. But here's the thing, though. So you invite them out for a date several times, but they're never able to meet in person. They're always making excuses. You never see them face to face. This has also been known to happen a lot with celebrities. What I mean by that is, you read these stories about people who've been catfished. Basically, people have been duped into thinking that they met a celebrity online and that celebrity's in love with them. And they say the celebrity's like, "Oh, you're the only one for me. Nobody knows about our relationship." And then they ask for something, in which case, probably not the celebrity, but the person you've contacted with says, after you get to know each other through chatting and text, after a week or two, the person writes you an urgent message. They're having a medical emergency and need you to send them money to help pay their medical bills. Or maybe the celebrity's like, "I'm down on hard times. I need money from you in order to not, lose my job or lose my public, standing, or the way I appear in front of the public." I read a real bad story of the celebrity scam, like that was about maybe a month or so ago, which I didn't read the whole article, but it was basically a woman who'd been duped into thinking that a celebrity had connected with her online. Even though she was married, she sort of, she wanted to believe this celebrity was real, and she practically emptied out her bank account for this person. And, kudos to her husband. Granted, I don't know how he felt internally. I'm not going to speculate on that, but at least externally, he quoted the news sources and said he felt horrible for his wife that she'd been duped into this, even though he was the one who'd gotten, sort of got lost a lot of money too. And especially because his wife, was got suckered into this, even though they were married. But for him, he at least publicly speaking was, he took a very considerate stance. But anyway, so yeah, so like I said, let's say the non-celebrity, the person you meet online, you never met them face to face, you never even FaceTimed with them, and suddenly they have a medical emergency. So, earlier in this website, we mentioned how online scammers often use people's emotions against them. And this is particularly true of dating and romance scams. The saying goes, if there was no crime, if crime didn't pay, there'd be very few criminals. Well, here's an eye-opening number for you. So according to the Federal Trade Commission, Americans lost, and this is not a joke, $304 million to romance scammers in 2020. And that was up about 50% over 2019. Some of that could have been because of COVID and isolation, but I can only imagine that number went up in 2021 or 2022, or even how it is now in 2023. I mean, that's a lot of money. Dating and romance scams can be initiated online through social media or potentially on dating apps and websites. Again, because for even those dating apps and websites, for their profile pictures, romance scammers often use photos they find online from actual dating profiles or stock photographs, or even the current buzz is about AI. There was an AI company that was involved in art, and they said, "No, absolutely not. We are not going to give photorealistic images of women to as part of our product," because they had a feeling that scammers were going to be using those images to dupe people. I see this fairly prevalently on Twitter. The library has a Twitter account, but basically, I'll see like random bots, not even real people, who will follow our library account, and looking at their profile, it's like I'm pretty sure this is the photo of this person is not actually a real person. Again, it could be, but when you look at their profile and look at their photo, you're like, I don't think this person actually exists. I don't know where this photo came from. We'll get into how to figure out is the photo legitimate or not, or at least a way of trying to figure that out in just a moment. But anyway, scam relationships tend to progress very quickly without any face-to-face interaction. And then when someone asks to meet in person, again, a last-minute emergency will arise to prevent that from happening. Or the scammer will claim to live too far away to visit or have some other issue that keeps them from traveling. The scammer may then soon claim again to have a financial emergency and ask you for payment, whether it be gift cards, maybe crypto. That'd be a big warning flag if they ask for crypto, in my opinion, or some other form of financial assistance. And then if the scammer actually, you or whomever actually, gives that money, then the requests continue from this scammer and the person on the other end, and they will continue to ask for even more money. And that's how you lose money very quickly in these scams. So again, what do you notice? Well, let's take a look at what we saw before. The scams, in this case of a romance scam, they use some tactics we've already covered. If you know what they are, pause this video and write them out or think them out. But basically, for starters, going back to the employment scam, it's too good to be true. We connected. We connected, but we never actually physically saw each other or talked to a degree that it's too good to be true. And the scammers can be experts at telling you what you want to hear, likely because they may have found your personal information somewhere and they're using that against you. Or they may even find pictures of other people online claim that they are pictures of themselves. That's been going on for a long time on the internet. Now, the other thing after that, though, is, of course, we get to urgency. The person you've suddenly grown close with has a sudden emergency. Maybe not even a medical emergency, it could be a financial emergency. And they need your help now. Once you've sent money, it's likely that a scammer will keep finding new urgent reasons to ask for more. They want more of your money. And then finally, there's the other big one, which we saw with the job employment scam, is the request for payment. There's a lot of different ways romance scammers ask for money. Again, they may ask for money transfers or wires or even gift cards to help them cover expenses. They're probably never going to ask for cash, like actual cash, or if they do and they give you a P.O. box, first of all, never mail money to anybody. In fact, even be suspicious of mailing a check because there's been a lot of mail theft lately. But, again, don't send this person money, especially if you're not connected, you never actually met them and it's just sort of like sight unseen. I bought a bridge. I never saw it. I just presume that it's there. I never met this person, but I presume that they're there. And again, there's nothing wrong with being altruistic. If someone's having a medical emergency, of course our heart will go out to them and we'd like to help them, but sometimes things do not always appear as they seem. So again, what would you do? If you had become involved with someone romantically online and starting to wonder if they might be a romance scammer, what would you do? You can pause this video and think of it for a little bit and then start it up again. So how do you avoid romance scams? Well, the first one is, of course, take your time getting to know someone online before you get serious about a relationship. Insist on meeting in person. Although when you do that, be sure it's safely and in public, and especially early in the relationship, very early. The other important thing is this: don't send them money, gift cards, or other forms of financial support. Again, especially if you haven't seen them, but even if you have, be suspicious. And the other thing you should do is, I know this is kind of hard, because you're in love or you might be, and especially if you're so involved in the scam, you're not able to see what's going on, but you should try and listen to friends and family who express concerns about your online relationship. Hopefully they have your best interests at heart. I'm not saying that'll always be the case, but hopefully they do. And they'll tell you, this doesn't seem right. I know there are plenty of examples where people have been warned and the person who's being scammed just can't see it, and they continue to get scammed. But, just again, listen to friends and family. I'm not saying you have to take everything they say 100%, but listen to what they have to say, think about it, look at the relationship and think, well, maybe there is something to be said. Maybe there's some truthfulness in what they're telling me. Now, when you start talking to someone, ask for more photos. Don't ask for one. No, 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 no. Don't ask for one. Ask for multiple photos. If the person you're communicating with is a scammer, they may be using images they copied from someone else's social media accounts or even somewhere else on the internet, or they might be using AI. Just ask for different photos. And the more photos you have, the more you can wonder if they're legitimate or not. Now, to help prove that they are the person they claim to be, and believe me, the scammer may try and blackmail you and say, "Don't you trust me? I'm a real person." Although they may be hurt by this too, but hopefully they'll understand where you're coming from, that you don't want to be scammed, that you're just trying to make sure they're a real person. Again, this is if you haven't actually met in person, or even virtually, at least through like a FaceTime app. You can ask them to you can ask them to take a photo with that day's newspaper or doing something specific like touching their nose. Excuse me. This type of photo would be hard to fake or copy from the internet. If they can't send a photo like this, it's likely they are not the person they say they are. Or if they provide an excuse, like they're too scared, like they have a phobia about touching their nose. I'm not saying that phobia doesn't exist, but how are they blowing their nose? And I'm not trying to make fun of people who have phobias of touching their nose, but if they don't want to do that, just have them do something else. There should be something they can do that proves they are who they are. And if they keep making excuses, again, that's another thing where it's probably a scam. The other thing you can do is going back to the image part of it. So you're looking at their image profile and you're thinking to yourself, is this a real image or not? I mean, it's a real image, but did this originate from them or from someone else? So you can do what's called a reverse image search on Google. That's basically where you start by typing images.google.com directly into the web address bar, which we see up there at the top. And then what happens is you can then upload an image to the camera icon to then search by that image. And then you can review the search results. So Google's not infallible. I mean, no search engine is. But again, you can then you can then look through the images and maybe they'll find a duplicate image of this person's profile. And you say, oh, wait a minute. This is for somebody else's different dating profile, or maybe found like hundreds of profiles that are using the same image and different names and stuff. It's like, no, this is all wrong. And then you'll know that, oh, this is not a legitimate image. So again, the results will show a possible related search and visually similar images. So not always a one-to-one, but something pretty close. Maybe the image got flipped. If you see the same photo somewhere in the results, click to open it and to see where the photo may have come from. And again, though this may not work for every photo based on the results, you should hopefully be able to figure out if a photo was authentic or not. Although I know that is getting a little bit harder with Google Images. I've seen some good ones lately that have been altered pretty well. Although fortunately I knew what the original image was, so I knew better that this wasn't legitimate. I think somebody posted a photo of Theodore Roosevelt, which had been photoshopped with like an image of Wolverine from the X-Men comics, which was an interesting fake. I mean, again, probably nothing. Again, why did somebody do that? I don't know. I mean, it's not like I don't know. I mean, it's not that they're getting anything financial out of it. It was just maybe somebody else had created that image for a laugh and someone else thought it was legitimate when it wasn't. It's just the nature of the internet. Cite everything or find the source for everything, as we say in libraries. But anyway, so again, just review some of the important parts, signs of a scam. Now that we're in the recap phase, again, we'll start with the too good to be true. Remember, scammers want you to be excited about an offer, a person, or an opportunity. They want you to be so excited you don't think clearly. The other part is urgency. If something has to happen immediately, or if scammers want you to believe there will be repercussions if you don't act right away, you're more likely to make a decision without taking time to think it through. Again, I saw that too. Again, with my Facebook one, I needed to log into my Facebook account now or I'd lose it. Again, unfortunately, I was able to take a step back and think with my head, not with my heart. And I'm glad that I did. But I know sometimes that's hard. Sometimes that's hard. I'm not going to tell you I'm infallible in that regard. Sometimes we think with our heart, not with our head. Again, the big ones, though, are links and attachments are some of the quickest ways to scam someone. By clicking on a link or attachment, you can put your device and information at risk. No. Especially don't click those. You shouldn't even open the email, to be honest, but at the very least, don't click any links or attachments. Then there's requests for personal information. Remember, scammers can use your personal information, like your dog, your first school, or even your mother's maiden name to gain access to your bank, social media accounts, or even steal your identity. Legitimate companies will never ask you for your bank account information or your passwords or PIN numbers, at least through an email. That doesn't mean you don't go to your bank's website directly and you've typed it in right and everything looks right because, again, you didn't click any email links. When you go to your bank's website, if you forget your password and you go through the password reset link, they may ask you for your social security number. That's not necessarily all that suspicious, only because, again, you've gone to their website directly. You didn't click any suspicious links. That's sort of like saying, go to your bank's like physical location versus, going down some back alley and hoping you go to some building that looks like your bank. So again, there are reasons you'll see that information, but it'll never be because of an email. Or at least it shouldn't. If it is, it might be a scam. So again, what are the types of scams though? Of course, the request for payment scam, is one of the clearest signs that a scam is underway. Because again, the scammers, they're scamming you because they want your money or possibly your personal information, as we just read. Scammers may ask for money transfers, gift cards, cryptocurrency, or other types of payment to help them cover expenses. Again, my number one go-to for scams is the next one, which is typos. When you see typos like spelling errors in a communication, it may have come from a suspicious source. Threats can cause you to worry. That's the third one, can cause you to worry that you'll get in trouble. They're designed to make you take action because you're afraid of losing something or being embarrassed. And then, of course, how do you protect yourself from scams, online scams? Well, now that we're familiar with some of those scams, and know how to spot common signs of a scam, that's step one. Because again, we covered 3 common types of scams, and know that those common types of what's applied to those scams can apply to other scams as well. For example, scammers use similar tactics to scam people over the phone or via text. I heard this from a coworker who reminded me that, if you get a call from a suspicious number, you really shouldn't pick up. But if you pick up and somebody says, "Are you there?" Don't say anything, just hang up. Because what can happen is, especially in the world of AI and I heard a news story about this too, although it wasn't related to my coworker, was there was an AI company that got enough voice clips of somebody, or not an AI company, an AI scammer, who got enough clips of someone online, whether through their social media accounts or I don't know where, and they had actually made like a program that would actually speak as pretty much, I'm sure there were tells, but it would speak very much like the person who they were trying to impersonate. And they called the person on the other end, like the parent or something, to try and get money from them. Well, good news for the parent, though. The parent realized, and they realized, well, again, maybe because of urgency and the need for money, that something didn't seem legit with this AI phone call. So what they did is they didn't give anything to the scam phone call. What it is they then called the actual person because they knew their number, and they said, "Did you just call me?" And the response was, "No, absolutely not." So again, that just goes back to disassociate yourself from the situation and contact this person or bank or whoever back through other means. But again, you can always use notes as a reference to remind yourself of what you learned today, whether you did it through Google Documents or you actually, wrote down a sheet of paper. I'll be sending a handout to anyone who registered for our presentation. But again, just know that, keep notes and again, just think these things through. And if you ever have any questions, ask a family member if you want to, or ask a friend, say, does this look right to you? You got nothing to lose by asking them before you actually go forward with providing personal information or money. So again, if you want to figure out how to access a Google document, again, you'll create your Google account first. You'll scroll down you'll press the 9 dots. You'll go down to, in this case, Google Drive. Google Drive is where all of your Google documents, Google Photos, Google Sheets, Google Forms are all saved to. You find the document in your Google Drive, and then you can get back to it to keep typing on it again anywhere with an internet connection, be it here at the library or at home. So just to recap, I talked about how to set up a Google Doc. We talked about what online scams are, and discussed the 2 main things the scammers are looking for from people online: money and personal information. We discussed ways you can protect your money and information from scammers. And we also went through different examples of scams, in which case an email phishing scam, a job scam, and an online romance scam. And finally, we review the major warning signs of scams. And again, while we simply can't cover every type of scam, being able to recognize the signs will help you identify other types as well. And again, we said a lot of bad things, but that doesn't mean it's all bad. Plenty of people have found people online, and that's really and found their significant others online. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think most people find their significant other online anyway, just through like legitimate websites, not because some random person reached out to them. Again, don't be afraid of using the internet. Just be smart, be cautious, you know, figure out where are you getting this information from. Does this seem right? The goal is really just to provide you with value information about scams. And if you keep this information in mind as you use the internet, you'll be able to explore more freely while keeping your money and personal information safe. That's what this is. This is not telling you to stop using the internet. We don't live in that world anymore. We have to keep using the internet. And again, we're smart, we're cautious, we're paying attention, and be smart, be victorious. So if you want to keep on learning, there's a couple different ways. One is I'll link to this in the reminder email if you register for this program, or the follow-up email. You can check out the Grow with Google YouTube channel. They've got videos on all sorts of topics, including this one too, if you want to watch their video, although it's primarily the same content. Again, you can go to, but it's not just for like scam stuff. They got stuff on how to grow your skills, your career, or business. They drop new videos every Thursday. If you have like a YouTube account, which is also a Google account, because Google owns YouTube, you can subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/grow with Google. There is an E at the end of Google. It's just down there at the bottom. Don't type in with GOOGL. It's GOOGLE. And again, that's one thing. You can also get Google career certificates. These are ones that you do have to pay for, but again, this is a little bit different from the employment scam, because Google's not having you pay them to build your skills because you want to work for them. No, Google is a third party that you're paying in order to build your skill set. So again, there's no experience necessary. You can learn at your own pace. You can stand out to employers, and it's a path to in-demand jobs. We also are currently providing access at the library, complimentary access for our patrons to LinkedIn Learning. As a possibility, but as to also learn your skills. But again, is a Google career certificate going to improve your job prospects? It really depends on who's hiring you. I mean, maybe they will accept a Google career certificate, or maybe the place that you work at will accept a Google career certificate. That just goes to, again, having to reach out to these employers and say, will they take it or not? Or you could just build your knowledge set in general. Maybe you decide, like, maybe you are interested in data analytics, or digital marketing, e-commerce, IT support, project management, or UX design, UX short for user experience. Maybe you take this and you decide that is a career you really love, or maybe you'll take it and realize you don't love it, But again, it's more knowledge. It never hurts to learn new things. I say that to myself as well. And then again, there's also some free online training for teachers and students. You can bring digital tools into your classroom, or for local businesses, help new customers find you online. For job seekers, boost your resume with a new certification. And for developers, learn to code or take your skills to the next level. Although there are other ways to do that as well. For that last part, code.org or Hour of Code. But again, there are some free online trainings at google.com/grow. But again, some of the certificate stuff does require money. But again, it can help you in all sorts of ways to build your skill set. And for that, I will say thank you for attending, although hopefully in a moment here, I'll show you a couple examples of actual genuine scam emails. And finally, of course, this is the Grow with Google series. And with that, I will go ahead and stop my share. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hopefully provide an example of some spam emails. Most of these are not going to be like the best examples, but they just show examples of the things we saw, like urgency and things along those lines. Okay, let's share again. Okay, so this is the library's main email account, and here's a good one. Hurry up. Urgency. The number of prizes to be won is limited. Confirm now. Ooh, 170-piece Stanley tool set. I wonder what they'll want from me. Oh, it'll only take a moment to receive this fantastic prize. Oh, I wonder if this is even going to come at all. I'm not saying anything about opentransfers.net, but I'm just saying if I were to look at this, I would be very suspicious and I would not click any links. I also would know better than to click the unsubscribe link, only because chances are if I click that, I'm probably going to get I could get even more emails depending on who it is. What are some other ones? Let's see here. Oh, Minnesota real estate. Ooh, wonderful. Or here's something from Ragnar. Again, this opentransfers.net again. They send us a lot of spam. Yo, you've been selected to receive an exclusive offer. Oh boy. We highly value our customers, and we believe in rewarding loyalty. Ooh boy. And I can talk about my experiences at CVS and receive an exclusive reward offer for participating. Ooh, ah and you're truly Ragnar. Who is Ragnar? Is Ragnar even a real person? This is another good one. Okay, now this is actually a very big scam one. So what it is of course this attachment, which I'm never going to click. But when I look at this is a disclaimer. There's nothing with this email address. All I get is a giant disclaimer. Who is this even from? I don't know. There's no company information. Alpha Tame Group. Who is that? Also, when I look at this email address, .ac.jp, that's a JP, if you know your country codes, they're very easy to look up online. JP is a Japanese company. Library is probably not dealing with companies that are actually based in Japan. I'm talking about a Japanese company that's based in the US. A company based in the US would probably end in a .com email address. Plus, you'd already had dealings with them anyway. But like Nintendo, for example, Nintendo.com. But this is all wrong. This is not right. I don't know who this company is, and I'm not about to find out either. Here's another one. Again, go back to opentransfers.net. Now it's Frankie Wu. Again, Frankie doesn't write his email address. His name is Frankie Wu. But now we've wanted DeWalt Power Station. All we have to do is answer is when. Oh, congrats again on being selected for our exclusive loyalty program. This goes back to the job scheme or scam. We never asked to be part of this loyalty program. They just chose us. We never have had any dealings that I know of with opentransfer.net, but that's a scam. But then again, there are some legitimate ones. I know this is in our junk email, but this is from Blick. We blocked all the images. I know Blick is a legitimate company. But chances are maybe, but you got to be careful with some of these links. But these are, if I hover my mouse over them, it's very hard to see. But in the bottom left-hand corner, I can see what the address is for it. In which case, this actually did come from dickblick.com, Dick Blick being an art company. So I know that these are legitimate. These are just our spam email because we probably marked them as spam at one point. But just know that this is a legitimate email. There are some out there that are legitimate, and this Dick Blick one is one of them because I know them. We have bought things through them, and we have an account with them, so I don't find it odd that they've sent us something. Again, here's some more ones. Again, Gerald was offering us a Stanley tool set. Black Friday deals from TurboCAD in Africa. Oh boy. Phone history. Here's a good one. Your order has been shipped. Rewards. Final notice coming. That's another one. You've been selected. Here's a good one where somebody's bot didn't even work right. Dear full name in brackets. Usually these are a little bit smarter than that. They're usually able to give you the right name of who you are. Although even that's not foolproof. I saw a really good one time, which started with, Dear Carol, I'm so glad to have talked to you on the phone. Here's some follow-up to our phone conversation. Except Carol is not us. We're Carol Stream, yes, because we're named after a real person, but nobody at the library. I mean, they only said Dear Carol because they knew that our company name was our library name was the Carol Stream Public Library. So they took Carol Stream as us being a Carol Stream, even though we're not. We're just named after Carol Stream. That was kind of a funny one, actually, that they did that. Here we have a surprise for you. I don't know what this one is. Hello, Governor. Oh boy. Messages for you, rewards, walking with the hello. It's not too late to save. Your order has shipped. Never mind the fact that we haven't ordered with whoever this Demetrius Carlisle is. Interlink launches urgent something. Your offer, survey registration, your rewards, answer and win. I could go on, but needless to say, none of this is legitimate. I was hoping for a better example. Sometimes you'll see really good copyright help notice. No, just no. It's sometimes you see really good ones, and I really don't have the best example of that. If I could find one, I would show it to you. But there's some really good ones out there that are not good. I mean, they're bad, but there's some which look very more duplicitous than these unsolicited ads. But again, just be careful. Don't click any links. I saw one which I can't even find in this. It wasn't even like it was a screenshot of an email with an attachment that was completely bogus. And if I clicked, even if I'd inadvertently clicked the image, this is why I don't recommend usually opening these emails that are spam is, if I click that image by accident thinking, oh, well, I'm just going to click somewhere on this email, and I didn't even click the attachment, I easily could have gotten a virus on my computer. So again, don't open these. I'm opening these because I'm on a work computer and so I have some security protection. But don't click these on your own personal email address to see, oh, well, there's an example, there's an example. No, just no. You can read these little previews, and even when I was on my home computer, I recognized that this preview was off because it said your FB account has been hacked, which is how I led me to believe this was not Facebook actually writing to me. So again, those are just some examples. Again, I'm going to stop the share again. Again, be cautious. Do your due diligence. Again, and again, this is not meant to scare you off the internet. The internet's a great place. I can FaceTime with family. I can use my email. I can communicate with people. I can buy stuff online. We all can. Just again, be smart. Don't offer more personal information online than you have to. Make sure every offer is legitimate. Make sure the emails you get are legitimate. And again, just be smart, be cautious, be safe. And again, I hope for only the best. Again, you will receive an updated email from me if you register for this program with the handout and the recording link. The next series offering the Grow with Google series will be in January. That's not specifically Grow with Google related. I'll be talking about library resources for job seekers, and later in February, library resources for businesses. But otherwise, keep an eye out on your newsletter for library programs that are coming up that you may be interested in. And yeah, so the sky's the limit. And thanks again for stopping by today. And with that, I will go ahead and end the presentation. Bye, everybody. Let me just stop recording and we'll all be good. Bye again.